Hello and welcome back to Anfield Aftermath. Same crew as usual, Craig, James and Jake, here to discuss the week according to Liverpool Football Club. It's been another sort of interesting topsy-turvy week, but I think we'll start with tonight's game just so we can talk about something positive for once. The most current thing. So does anyone want to kick it off?
Well, we should probably clarify that that's Leipzig, Champions League Leipzig second leg. Which we've won.
What happened?
2-0, but 4-0 on
again.
aggregate. And
Double 2-0s.
Yeah, 2-0s. Good.
Desmond.
All round. I like the way that we can sort of just switch on for. I mean, we shouldn't have to switch on, but I like the way that we can just sort of leave the Premier League form aside for a night and play properly again.
Yeah, I feel like
I think I'd be
I wasn't sure I was going to go, obviously because of what's happening in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But even in previous years, Liverpool have always seemed to turned
Shape
it on
up.
when it got to the knockout games.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about them, but obviously tonight I was a bit apprehensive because everything that's going on. But they stepped up and they got the job done.
Indeed.
Certainly did. Big result. I'm very surprised. Obviously, because as late, Liverpool can't really score, especially when they are at home, inverted commas. Whatever. And they quite often will end up conceding. So to score 2 at home, wink wink, and to keep a clean sheet, that's unheard of by current Liverpool standards. So wow. What do you think made the difference?
I think there's a couple of factors. Honestly, if I'm being honest, probably the main one is the fact that it was Leipzig we were playing. They had to bring the game to us because they were 2-0 down from the whistle. So that probably made the biggest difference, is that we weren't playing a team that could afford to sit back. But I also think, get Jake's opinion on it in a minute, but I think having Fabinho in midfield made a world of difference.
Yeah, absolutely. You forget how good he is in midfield because he's played the entire season as defender. I mean, he's good in defence as well, but it's like having an extra centre-back. It's like having 3 centre-backs, but 1 in midfield. It's
We
reassuring.
controlled the game. Controlled the game today. Speaking of defence, though, for me, Nat Phillips is our senior centre-back now.
Yeah,
He was amazing.
I can't sing his praises enough. He's been brilliant.
Yeah, didn't put a step wrong. And I also thought, because obviously when we saw the lineup, of which there were a few changes, Fabinho being back in midfield being one of them, I thought, well, this is a defensive lineup. We're 2-0 up, so it makes sense to just sit back and try and soak them up. But we still played the high line. And against a team with some fast players in it, it wasn't as if, they could have exploited that. They tried. And obviously people talk about Nat's pace not being good enough. There must be something that Klopp sees in training that he's not happy with, because he hasn't been getting the game time that I feel like he deserves, because every time he plays he seems to be phenomenal. Doesn't put a foot wrong. Didn't put a foot wrong tonight. It made some really important key decisions that got us the clean sheet as well. So
yeah, I mean, about that, I think Klopp's starting to realise that he just needs game time, and with more game time comes more improvement, obviously, because he has started playing him a lot more. I think the only time he hasn't played him recently was, did he come on for Hendo in the derby, or was that someone else?
No, he came on.
It was
He
okay.
came on, didn't he?
Yeah. Maybe Klopp had an epiphany. He's like, maybe I should play 2 centre-backs and play Fabinho in midfield.
I mean, I just think with the
And now
injury
play-
to Hendo, he has to. I think we lose too much in midfield if we keep moving our midfielders back to defence, and then they go
And we
out
said
injured.
that. And Henderson kept playing in centre-back. So,
I mean, I rate Fabinho overall as a midfielder, solely as a midfielder, better than I do Hendo. So if you have to move one of them back into midfield, obviously can't move Hendo back, but if you had to, it'd be Fabinho. But
I mean, if Hendo was fit, I would still leave the centre back as it is and still put Henderson back.
Yeah, at this stage now, I think you've just got to go with it and try and win the midfield battle.
I think tonight. I mean, it was brave of him to sort of. I was going to say it's brave of him to experiment with the Champions League when it's pretty much all we've got going for us. But at the same time, what he has been doing has not been working, so you might as well. But I would certainly say, off the back of tonight's performance, that has to be the formula going forwards now. Play them two at the back. I thought also Kabak was fine today. He's made some mistakes in the last few games, but like both Kabak and Nat
important clearances tonight
were brilliant today, and having Fabinho back in midfield was a huge boost, so I think that's got to be what he goes for. That said, the Premier League is dead. Like, it's over. We're not getting top 4. We don't really want to get Europa League, so we're probably better off sat down in 9th and 10th and even further down flipping table than that, so there we are.
Well, to swerve off that cliff of depression, I'll just go back on to Nat Phillips there quick. Something I just wanted to point out that I actually like about Nat is that he'll go for anything, which at the moment could be very risky, because obviously if he gets injured, we're kind of fucked. But he's a soldier, and he's like, he came out in a head wrap. So he came out in a head wrap today, and it's like, all right. And then he was still making like aerial challenges and all sorts, and he was diving in head first into the challenges and all. Like, he's got like pain threshold. He's
a proper centre half. Like, he doesn't do nothing fancy or special. He just does
the job. Yeah.
It's like,
and that's exactly what we need right now.
It's like in preparation when he realised he wasn't leaving Liverpool this season, and then when the injuries started mounting up at centre back, he's like, right, I'm gonna have to learn something quickly. Sat down on YouTube and watched an hour of Jamie Carragher highlights, and has just based his entire performance off that, which is fine.
I mean, yeah, it's been working so far. He's not put a foot wrong. I think he's been brilliant.
Yeah. Was he your man of the match?
Was he my man of the match? I haven't thought of a man of the match. Would I give it to him? He's definitely in the mentions. Yeah, why not? Clean sheet, why not? Yeah, let's give it to him. I feel like he deserves it. If the attackers hadn't lost so many chances, or if there wasn't a clean sheet, it would have gone to someone else. But I'll give it to him.
Yeah, I think obviously we should probably discuss what happened in the first half.
Yeah.
In that I was pretty worried coming out of the first half, because first of all, we absolutely dominated them in terms of performance. It looked like Leipzig didn't stand a chance tonight. We could have quite easily been 5 or 6-0 up coming in from the first half. It was that heavily one-sided towards Liverpool. But for whatever reason, we just weren't finishing chances, and that, to me, was a worrying sign, because it was like, I could just see it happening. Like, we would come out in the second half, momentum would swing to Leipzig, they'd put 2 away, and then it's panic stations. And we know from previous games in the Premier League that as soon as we can see the goal, everyone's heads drop and it all goes to hell. So
yeah,
I was really worried, because, like I say, 5 or 6 clear chances weren't getting put away. I think Mane's performance tonight, we'll discuss his goal in a bit, but prior to that goal, it was absolutely awful. I think he's been one of our most underperforming players this season. When you look at Bobby, a lot of people are discussing Bobby, but Mane, I think, has been just as bad this season. So yeah, Jota as well missed a sitter right at the end of the first half, but other than that, I think he did have a good game. And Mo was virtually the same, had a good game, but missed a couple of key chances. Fortunately, though, we never paid for it, and yeah. Don't have got anything to say on the first half before we move in.
Yeah, with the first half, we said it in the group chat, but it's worth mentioning for the podcast as well, is that it was a very mixed first half of, like, we had, I think it was like 5 or 6 chances. Half of them were just really poor mistakes, like just judging the game wrong. I think Thiago could have got a goal
in about 3 minutes.
Yeah, Thiago was one-on-one with the keeper and decided to try and pass it. I can see why he tried to pass it to Salah, but you've got to think: is he gonna know that you're gonna pass to him? Is he ready for it?
It was a weak pass. Like, it got intercepted. It didn't even make it to Salah. Like, the thinking there was Salah's coming in on his strong foot. Yeah. He'll bury it, but you've got to be better than that with the ball if you're gonna do that.
Well, also you've got to anticipate what they're thinking. Like, okay, Thiago might be thinking, okay, that's a pass, that's an easy goal, but is Salah expecting that? Because I don't think anyone would have been in that point. I think anyone one-on-one with the keeper would have just buried it.
Everyone else would have thought
the same. Yeah,
to just smash it like.
Trent had one where he got in, but he tried to, I think, cut it back, and that got intercepted. Mane had an open goal basically and tried to head it in. Don't know why, but it ended up going into the floor.
I don't know whether he sort of got like. He couldn't decide whether he wanted to volley it or head it, and then he just got caught in the middle
and just did whatever that was. Yeah. I mean, I feel like if that was me run up to that, the best choice would have been to just try and hit it in with your toe. Just try and stab it.
Just to get some forward momentum on it instead of putting it downwards into the floor.
Even if you side foot it, but just like guide it in, that's like a better option. It looked like it was actually more inconvenient to go down with his head than it.
It looked harder to do than score.
Yeah, it did. Other than that, the other chances, I think Salah was one-on-one after Thiago had a beautiful upfield. It was very reminiscent of the Man United counter-attack with Becker assisted him. Great save from Galachi. Pushed it to Mane, who then unfortunately fucked it. But that was a good save. That wasn't Salah's fault, I don't think. Jota got a good header on target. Again, good block. And there was another chance by Jota, wasn't there? But I can't remember what it was. Oh, he had a very reminiscent of shot of Thiago's, but he actually took the shot. But it was just a good shave.
And then he had that final kick of the half, which again was an open goal, really, and he hit the side netting. So
it was an open goal. I can see why it happened, because there was pressure coming towards him. It wasn't as easy as like Mane's one, but I still think
I would expect the striker to have
put that away. Yeah.
But anyway, fortunately, it never mattered in the end. So yeah, second half, I did think momentum swung towards Leipzig in the second half for at least a period when they brought on Hwang Ki-chan specifically.
Well, they brought on two, didn't they? They brought on I think a Cam and him.
Emre Can.
Straight away.
The German man.
That's been my contribution for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all you can contribute, you plastic fan.
That's all Emre can contribute.
Anyway. So yeah, I think they made those two changes right at the beginning of the first half. Both attacking changes, because basically if you're 2-0 down, you've just got to try and go down swinging, haven't you? So I can see why they did it, but it was nervy for us. Because if we'd have scored any of the chances from the first half, it would have been late to bed, I think.
Yeah,
real motivational killer.
I think it only took us 4 minutes then to score 2 goals. Inside 4 minutes, I mean. Salah and then a goal for Mane as well.
And fair play, Origi, beautiful cross to Mane to get that.
Yeah, it was good play from Origi. So yeah, we should probably mention Origi came on.
In place of Jota.
Keita came on.
Milner was on, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was later on. There was a change at like the 65th or 60 odd minute, which was Thiago for Keita and Origi for Jota.
Yeah. Everyone looked good. I'm surprised Keita didn't start actually, because I thought he was brilliant against Fulham. Yep, thought he was brilliant against Fulham. Thought I was fully expecting him to start, but actually, if we're going to talk standout performances of tonight, Thiago is definitely up there.
Yeah.
Thiago, Fabinho, both centre backs, but specifically Nat.
Trent,
and yeah,
I think was decent. To be fair,
I'll probably give my man of the match to Nat as well.
Yeah, Nat, I think deserves it.
Yep. And even though he only had a brief spell, Origi looked sharp.
Yeah, he actually did look alright. To be fair, I don't like that this is a thing, but every time I see him getting subbed on, I'm like, oh, great. But
I know. But
luckily, this was like a good. No, it never, and I hope it does change. But I mean, I was glad to be wrong tonight because he assisted Mane's goal. So
because in my head, like ever since like December time, if you saw Origi coming on, you'd know there's maybe 5 minutes of the game left. We are completely out of ideas, and we're hoping Origi pulls a rabbit out of a hat, and he never has. So.
Well, he did tonight.
Although it wasn't necessary. I mean, we were already in cruise control at that point. But it's nice to see him, contribute.
He pulled a safety blanket out of a hat.
Yeah, it's something that could be used for his confidence in future games. It's only a positive, basically.
Okay, so what happened? So Origi set up Mane's goal.
Yeah.
Yep.
What happened with Salah's goal?
That was a Jota assist to Salah.
That was his last touch. That was
Jota down the middle, then hit it wide to Salah, who then cut back inside and buried it with his left foot.
Yeah.
It was a classic Salah.
This. With Jota in the middle, obviously, Firmino was actually still injured. Didn't seem major last I checked. So, I mean, I feel like it'll probably be okay for Wolves, which is that Monday night?
I think it is. Yeah, but I'd assume Firmino will be back.
I know people have often gone on about what Bobby offers the team, and he does a lot more than the assists and the goals, which is still true. I know he does a lot of work in creating that space stuff, but I don't think as a centre forward and as a number 9, his goals and assists has been anywhere up to scratch this season. So, in the boost spell tonight, of Jota in there instead, do you think does he seem to be a better option?
I'll let you go first.
I think so, yeah. Sadly. I think it might be. I think Firmino might be done at Liverpool, if I'm being honest. We're talking about 2 seasons of a decline performance here. With the likes of Mane, obviously he's not having a good season, but it's the first time we've ever seen something like this. It is an unprecedented season, everything going on around the club. You can sort of try and explain it away, but Bobby's been declining for a while now, and it doesn't look... There just seems to be no signs of improvement. I'm not saying, like, sell him or whatever. He's definitely still got stuff to offer, but right now, Jota seems to be flying, and he's just come back off an injury, and he already looks brilliant. He had one missed chance today, but aside from that, like, he looked great. And then you could say, well, the other option is to go with a diamond and maybe use Bobby as like a number 10. But I have to say tonight, looking at tonight's performance, having Fabinho back in midfield changed the way Thiago played. Thiago has been atrocious for the last few games in the Premier League. Today looked great, and I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that Fabinho is now taking that defensive role in the midfield, allowing Thiago to be a little bit more offensive, and we're seeing a bit more what he can do. Like that ball over to Salah was amazing.
Because when you think about the buying Thiago, we had Kimmich behind him, who was one of the best as well. So
then I feel like you're talking about having Fabinho and Thiago definitely in the midfield, and for me, like, Wijnaldum is the safety player. Like, he always does his job. He never puts a foot wrong. You can rely on him. So I feel like he's even got to be in there. And then even if you're not going to play Wijnaldum, like I said, against Fulham, Keita looked amazing, and I feel like he deserves a chance. So I just don't know where Bobby fits in if you're going to play Jota instead of him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that for the most part. I just think it depends on what team you're planning to play. Typically, if you've got a very defensive team, Bobby would be good. I think at the moment it's not been great because we've played against defensive teams and it's not really proven my point. But not normally when we're not in when the whole team's not in poor form, because I think he relies a lot on one, fans, and two, everyone else. So if everyone else is in good form, he's in good form. So when everyone else can pocket the assists he gives, like the beginning of Leicester, I think he was really good at the beginning of Leicester. And they normally are quite a defensive team, or at least strong in defence. But, you know, as a tactic of they've never played against this type of Liverpool before with Jota in as like an actual striker, I think that's the main best choice to go for.
But if you were gonna pick the team for Wolves, are you putting Bobby in it?
Oh, see, this is where I'm torn though, because obviously Wolves know how to play against Jota, because he used to play for Wolves, so they know what he's like. So I don't know.
Jot, that's what he's all about. That's what he lives.
Would you play him for Wolves?
Yes.
Yeah, I would.
If
a player's informed, then you should be playing him. And Bobby is absolutely not informed. So, and if he uses it as an opportunity to spare himself on in training, but something's got to be done. You can't just keep putting him out there when he's doing nothing. In my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Would you play the same midfield for Wolves?
Yeah, I would.
It's difficult to get it how it works, because I know with Fabinho holding, could you potentially take Wijnaldum out of that to put Naby Keita on along with Thiago?
Yeah, I reckon you could. But
if Fabinho was,
to be fair,
Fabinho
I might do that. I might just say give Wijnaldum a rest and put Keita on. But other than that, I would go with the same team. I would certainly go with the two centre backs because both of them performed well tonight. Yeah, that might be the only change I'd make. Put Keita on, just because Keita's looked good, looks like he deserves a chance, and Wijnaldum probably deserves a rest. To be honest,
he's always looked good going forward. Keita, he just, was it Klopp said it a few months ago? He can't get any rhythm because he always gets a little niggling injuries and he can't never get a run in the team. But whenever he does play, he can go forward well. He's quite quick. He can link up well. He looks like a relatively exciting player.
Yeah.
When he plays.
So here's an interesting question that can spring up as a result from that. I think that I would already know the answer, but I'll just ask anyway. Because Wijnaldum wouldn't be in. Captaincy doesn't go beyond 5th choice, or 4th choice even. So who would you pick? Because Milner wouldn't be on. Obviously Van Dijk's injured, Hendo's injured.
It'll be Trent, I would imagine. But
personally, it was down to me.
Do you still think it'd be Trent?
I'd give it to Salah.
Trent had it the other night. I can't remember what game it was, but due to substitutions, Trent ended up having it for like the dying minutes of the game.
I didn't realise.
I think it was when Trent came on. Was it Trent come on late for Fulham for Milner, and Milner handed the armband to Trent?
I can't remember.
I'm sure something like that. Trent had it on for the last few minutes anyway. It looks like Trent would be the next in line, but for me, I'd give it to Mo.
Yeah, I'd at least try it with Mo.
I feel like Trent's only getting it because he's a Scouser, which
I think it's fitting their storyline, isn't it?
Yeah, it just doesn't.
Which
that's
again,
not enough of a reason for me. But
I remember for a brief spell, I
don't think he's ready for that yet.
I was going to say, was given captaincy many moons ago, I think, when Gerrard was injured. And Suarez, I think there was at least one game where he was captain and he sort of he somehow found the next level in that game. He was utterly insane. He was insane any day of the week, but
it's just
it can mean a lot to a player.
Yeah, it refreshes his spirit, doesn't it?
And I think it does mean a lot to Mo because we know from that game when he thought he was going to get it and he was really quite vocally annoyed about it in an interview afterwards.
The thing about it as well, I feel like I wouldn't say it would necessarily disappoint Trent because I feel like Trent's probably Liverpool captain or vice captain to make anyway, and he's going to be around a lot. He's a lot younger than Salah, so he'll be around a lot longer. So I'm sure he will get the armband at some point, someday. But for now, I'd give it to Mo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Also, Moser, ain't it? Like the shift he's put in over the last few years.
And someone
Give
who's
him a little go with the
someone
armband.
who's eager to be the captain, like, at least deserves to try it out.
Yeah.
Because like, why would you volunteer yourself as a leader, as a captain, if you're not like a leader?
Yeah.
It's not like you get any benefits. You don't get like the best seat on the coach or anything like that. But
it's not like Tsimikas saying I want to be captain. You know what I mean? Like this is Mo Salah. He's broken countless Liverpool records, and he's an absolute club legend.
He's one of the people we can attribute most of our success to in the last few years.
Yep. Speaking of Tsimikas, he played for about 3 seconds tonight, but he was involved in 2 chances, which is pretty impressive considering the amount of time he was on the pitch. So I thought even he looked like...
how long it's been since he last played as well.
It felt like he was like, right, I've been granted these 3 seconds, I'm going to make the most of them. And he did.
A shot
do
a
that,
second, yeah, a chance a second even.
Well, yeah, he did more than Chamberlain in the same time, so...
True.
One was a shot, in fact, on it. One was he attempted an assist, but I think his first touch was a shot on goal.
It bounced back to him, and he's like I don't know if it was on target, but it was a shot.
It wasn't on target, but it was just wide. It could have been quite dangerous because it was from a long way out. So
absolutely.
Something that I wrote down. I said, can I talk about something potentially the other side of the coin and something a bit glum, but then we can bring it back around, and we can look forward to Wolves at the end. Okay. Because we're gonna have to. I mean, I don't want to end on a sad note. I don't want to end on depression. So during, I've been absolutely livid. I've been absolutely fuming.
Really?
This is probably the angriest and probably most down I've been watching Liverpool in my life. Like with the home games recently, it's utterly unbelievable, and I don't know what I'm saying. I know there's a lot. I mean, I put it on record now where I'm saying. There's no way that I would sack Klopp. There's no way that I would sack Klopp. I feel like now the best thing to do, as I said, now we've gone through in the Champions League, because I think I said to you, if he went out the Champions League tonight, I would literally potentially ask him if he wanted a bit of a rest, because the season's done, effectively. Yep. There wouldn't be anything to play for. But now, obviously, we've gone through, so we absolutely need him to stick around, and hopefully need him to try and find a bit of momentum so we go into the next games in the Champions League with a bit of confidence for us. But I wrote down some stats of what's happened this year or recently in the Premier League. And I said, so the worst manager in my time, who many would consider to be the worst Liverpool manager of our lifetime, was Roy Hodgson. In that time in the Premier League, he played 20 games. He won 7 of them, drew 4 and lost 9. And got him to 25 points by the time the end of his reign came. Klopp, for the last 20 games in the Premier League this season, won 7, drew 5 and lost 8 and gained 26 points. So I'll say, over the last 20 games, Klopp has been 1 point better off than probably the worst manager in our history. And in terms of home record during that time, Roy Hodgson won 5, drew 2 and lost 1 and got 17 points at home during those 20 matches. Klopp has won 3, drew 5 and lost 6, accumulating to 11 points during that time. And, for instance, Hodgson had a team of Pepe Reina, Konchesky at left back, Jamie Carragher, Martin Kelly, Martin Skirtle, Raul Meireles, Gerrard, Maxi Rodriguez, Kite, Lucas Leiva and Torres. And they beat Chelsea at home 2-0. That's a team that beat Chelsea at home 2-0. So, I feel like whatever Klopp is doing at the moment in the Premier League, he's certainly got the players to do better than that. And he's really going to have to sort it out, because...
Do you think he's in
danger? I fear for him. I feel like, the owners, was it FSG, have came out and gave him back in. So I wouldn't. I said to you, if he went out the Champions League tonight, he would be in danger. It wouldn't surprise me at all if I woke up in the morning to see he'd been sacked if they went out tonight. but we've got time now until I don't know when the next round of the Champions League is, but it's. I feel like this round of the Champions League is maybe put to an end any doubts, because I feel like by the next time, is the next round of the Champions League home and away again, or home and away again?
Yeah.
So I feel like by the time those two matches would have been played, unless we lose the first one 7-0 or something, by the time those two have been played, whatever's happening in the league at that point, it'd be too late in the season to really bother changing manager anyway. Because there wouldn't.
True.
There'd be, but I feel like at this point, if we went at the Champions League now, perhaps they could have made a change. So, as I said, I absolutely wouldn't. I would just see the season through. I mean, the Premier League's done, but I mean, I still like them to try and work on things, because they have to. You want to try and continue from next season where they left off, because I don't really want them to get to pre-season to think, okay, we've been shocking for literally the whole of 2021. What we have to now do something better. So it's very worrying. It is the worst. It's definitely we know for a fact it's the worst home spell we've ever had ever. So shocking. I mean, I know there's a lot of reasons for that. So if Anfield had fans, I would put all the money I own saying that would not have happened if there were fans at Anfield.
Yeah, same.
No.
And I also think had maybe the Van Dijk then the Gomez injuries happened, that also wouldn't have happened. Because I feel like they were a snowball effect of injuries throughout the squad, and we've been. And also the way Liverpool play as well, that's a big factor, because very, very high energy pressing team. Been playing a hell of a lot more matches coming thick and fast than what they used to, so I think there's a lot.
And we've been doing it for the last 3 years as well.
Yeah, I can sort of understand why it happens, and a lot of teams like City had a drop off last year, but didn't have the injuries that we had. Well, the severity of injuries that we had.
They didn't have the severity of drop off either, to be fair to them. They had a drop off for City, but by no means. I mean, this is a disaster on all accounts.
Yeah, I mean, this is it could well be. I mean, I think it's approaching projected points now. Places Liverpool as the worst drop off, I think, for a Premier League champion in history. But it will be very close to what Leicester's drop off and Chelsea's drop off. But it's also because they set the bar so flipping high last year, because they could have won the. No, I think what was it the biggest points gap win between the first and second. So Liverpool could have maybe got 15 points or more less. And this drop-off wouldn't have seemed so bad, but they completely outperformed anything last year. So obviously the drop-off seems significantly... Because they could have just nicked the title by a couple of points, and this would still be bad, but it wouldn't seem as bad because they were just unbelievable. Because I think there was a time last year where their record was played 28, won 27, drew 1. Or something like that, and that's unreal. But it's worrying times, so we'll see what happens. I mean, plus side, Wolves is away, so...
Yeah, get away from Anfield.
You would have thought a year ago you'd be saying that.
Yeah,
it's mad, absolutely mad. This time a year ago, I think maybe... I've got a feeling this time a year ago, Watford might have been on the horizon, but... But this time a year ago...
Remember being disappointed by that Watford game because we lost one game? No, we've lost a game. I don't believe it. We've lost a game.
I know, and now it's just well...
Yeah, we are.
Now, though, I mean, the thing about it is now, Liverpool have lost that many at home in a row, that, the Evertonians and the United fans that I'm in a football chat with, even they've lost interest in trying to wind me up.
I mean, that's a good thing, in my opinion. You don't have to deal with it.
Because it's not
I'll tell you what. It's sad that we're in a world where a United team under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the only potential outlet for stopping Manchester City winning another Premier League title.
Yeah, I don't
these
even
are the
think
times we're discussing.
I don't even think it's a possibility, to be honest.
It's not. But the fact that we're discussing, like, well, they're the only ones that could do it. Like, who'd have thought that at the start of this season? Who'd have thought that our best route into the Champions League next season is winning the damn thing?
That actually looks more likely than us getting top 4 as well.
I mean, it definitely is at this point. We're not getting top 4. No way.
I tell you what, you two talk, and I will try to bring up the odds on top 4 versus Champions League outright winners.
All right. Well, while Craig does that, we should probably change topic a little bit.
On them.
So, as you've just discussed, Klopp would have been in danger, has been in danger.
Oh, don't ask me about a point instead.
No, well, kind of. Obviously, with the recent success of Steven Gerrard.
James, do you want the
Rangers,
job? No, I'm joking.
A lot of fans have kind of. Well, they say a lot of fans have sort of speculated, but from what I've seen, they haven't. But there was talk or rumours of Klopp getting booted and Gerrard getting seated. So, what's your guys' opinion on that?
Well, first of all, I feel like these quote-unquote rumours from fans saying that they want Gerrard in, there'll certainly be some, because there's always idiot fans out there that want Klopp out and whatever. But I think a lot of the talk about either Klopp being in danger or fans that want Klopp out or fans that want Gerrard in, it's mostly either rival fans or journalists looking to drum up a story. Because at the end of the day, this is the perfect time now. Like, I remember when Craig was talking about City's drop-off before, during City's drop-off, I remember thinking, like, this could be it. Pep could walk, and then it's the collapse of City. And that's what you wanted to happen, because then you'd come into this season, City wouldn't even be a threat. Right now, every rival fan, every United fan, every City fan, every Chelsea fan, Tottenham fan, they want Klopp to go, because that gives them a boost for next season. Everyone is expecting, this is not going to happen again next season. Liverpool are going to come out, assuming, touch wood, that the league is back to normal next season, fans are back, blah, blah, blah. Liverpool are going to come out swinging. Everyone knows that. If Klopp was to go, if Salah was to go, because again, there's talks from his agent or other clubs have got interested in, is Salah happy at Liverpool? We've seen his reaction when he got subbed off. Like, everyone wants Salah to go and everyone wants Klopp to go, because then Liverpool aren't a threat again next season. But the truth is, Klopp absolutely has to stay, and I don't see Salah going either. In terms of Gerrard taking a position, it's definitely going to happen one day. I think that's his end game, but not for a number of years.
Too soon.
It's way too
preferably
soon.
After another managing job, or at least more success at Rangers.
I think either or, to be honest, because obviously his goal right now is to get Rangers into the Champions League and get through the qualifying games. And if he did that, that's a massive success there.
100%.
And he may just want to go on and dominate that league for a bit if he can. And I think if he did that for a good few years and then came to Liverpool, that'd be fine. Or if he wanted to come and get to an English club, but either way, it is too soon and he needs a bit more time. But things are looking good.
Yeah, well, about that, people compare the Scottish League to, well, first off, they compare it to the Premier League as a massive drop-off, and it is, there's no denying it, but I equate it to more like the Championship, and don't forget, if Gerrard does go on a mad run for the Scottish League, chances are he's going to be in Europe either way. Chances are he's either in the Europa League or the Champions League, so he'll be getting international experience as well, which is only a good thing. So even if he doesn't necessarily win them, he's still getting experience in European football and domestic football for a number of years, whether or not he's winning or just getting second place or whatever. If he's doing well, that's all we need.
Yeah, I was reading something yesterday about Rangers, and granted, I don't watch the games, so I don't know. I couldn't say for a fact that this is true, but I'll believe it. Supposedly, Rangers are as close as you can get in terms of play style and the way they set up, a carbon copy of Klopp's Liverpool. And the article was basically saying, if Klopp did go, there is no other manager out there that could get the best possible performances out of this Liverpool side than Steven Gerrard right now. So that again is a promising thing to hear. I still think it's too soon, but like it's all
I would
good
say,
signs.
I mean, granted, I mean, somewhat counter argument. Not really counter argument because I don't really want to argue. It's just a observation.
Point.
I mean, if Rangers are playing a very similar style to Liverpool, if Liverpool are currently playing Klopp's style and it isn't working, would we want that?
Well, that's what I was just about to mention. Is Gerrard is obviously trying to learn from Klopp on how to play the best type of football, and people have compared the Rangers formation and setup a lot like the Liverpool setup, but because of the obvious drop in quality, like the likes of Ryan Kent and Moreno, I think his name is, they're like obviously good players, but not to the level of their equivalent for the Liverpool team. So although they play like us, they're just less pressing, so they do a bit more defensive work. So that is at least a little bit of a change and a little bit of a distinguishing feature between the two, of it's not as intensive from Gerrard's Rangers, which might be what the players we had needed, but again, I wouldn't agree with putting him in now at the moment anyway.
Granted, I also think, in a way, it's not like Liverpool have suddenly been found out. I mean, they've been playing the same way for many years now. I feel like it's just a combination of heads have dropped, no fans to get them up. They are knackered as a team, so I think they're trying to implement the same tactics they always have, but for most players, they're starting the game with like a 60% full tank.
Yeah.
So need a rest. Need some senzu beans.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Give us some of them.
So we're all of the same opinion of we would like Gerrard to manage Liverpool one day, but I think we all think Klopp's still the right guy. It's just unforeseen circumstance. We'll get over it.
The dream is for Gerrard to come in one day and win the Premier League.
Yeah, one day. But I mean, I feel like it's just too soon for me. I mean, if he wants to be a manager, he's going to be a manager. He's a young guy. I think he's 39
in terms of
40,
managers, yeah.
Like that,
in terms of managers, yeah, he is young.
So, I mean, I'd quite happy him go around, have a spell of success with Rangers, manage another team, and maybe say, well, I'm quite happy to see him in 10 years' time. I mean, it'll happen at some point.
Yeah, well, we don't want a Lampard at Chelsea.
No, it was
too
soon.
To be fair, I mean,
and then they didn't give him a chance.
Yeah, it is too soon, but I would say he's already got leagues of experience ahead of Lampard at this point.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Lampard, I don't think ever won anything with Championship football, and also Liverpool aren't as they're not as cutthroat with getting rid of managers as Chelsea are. Like Chelsea are almost notorious for getting rid of managers too soon.
Yeah,
and I feel
like he does need some.
Well, with those type of managers, they're not really. You give them a bit of leeway, don't you? Because they're not like they're not the typical manager. They're a learning process, and obviously like have history with the club and blah blah blah. So you've got to, when you sign one of them type of like ex-player now manager, you've got to give them time to sort of get used to the job. And I feel like Chelsea just weren't prepared to do that, where Liverpool would be. But I wouldn't want them to do it now.
That's the Chelsea way, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Leave it in the future. Let him get a bit of experience first, so that the drop off in the future or the wait to get back up isn't as long.
If you look at, say, like Neil Lennon with Celtic, his first stint at Celtic, or at least as far as I'm aware, the first stint at Celtic before he recently left. He was manager there, obviously flying high. Like league was a doddle with Celtic every year. They'd win some of the the Scottish Cup. Never really got anywhere in the Champions League though. But I mean, in terms of the Premier League, absolutely fine. And you'd think that makes a good manager. And then I think he came to the Premier League and I think he managed Norwich, and it for a while I think, and it was an absolute disaster. He couldn't cut it at all, because it's just like that's the step up in quality of the Premier League by comparison. So I feel like I'd certainly like Gerrard to manage outside of the Scottish Premier League as well. Maybe in the league, maybe with like a mid-table team or something to see what he can do with them before going to Liverpool. Maybe if he could take like a mid-table team and maybe get them, maybe sneak them into Europa League or something one year, because just going from Rangers to managing Liverpool, that's one hell of a step up.
People were also wanting him to either take a Championship team or even Newcastle at the moment, because they're not having a good run of form at the moment, are they?
I mean, he wouldn't go to Newcastle, right?
I wouldn't want him to come to the Prem at this point, because I think it's still just out of reach.
He will. It's just I want it. I mean,
I have no
he's
doubt
legend and it'll happen. And I'm sure when he's ready, they'll welcome him with open arms. But I mean, at the moment, I wouldn't want to see a legend fall on his sword because he was sent into battle too soon. Yeah.
Well, to wrap this section up, we should probably just first off say congratulations to Steven Gerrard and the Rangers for winning the Scottish Premier League. Because actually, a fun fact, I also believe it's his own type of team. Like, a lot of the players are his players.
They're also, I believe all his backroom staff and everyone he surrounded himself with, he chose himself. Which I remember when Klopp first came in, and he had he was flying with Liverpool, and people were saying to him, what's the secret? And he said,
the staff, the coaches,
surround yourself with people that you know, and. That's what Gerrard's done. Obviously, he's took those words to heart, and it's worked out for him as well at Rangers. So, seems to be a winning formula.
Yeah. So well done, fair play.
So, shall we look ahead to Wolves?
Well, before we go into that, see if we can quickly discuss. There's a new rule possibly coming into place, isn't there? We said about this in the group chat. We discuss it.
Is this Arsène Wenger's offside rule? Yeah, it's being tested in China right now, apparently. And then, depending on the results of that, they will potentially bring in.
I think I read something briefly on this. So, do you both know what the rule is?
Yeah,
so if I try and explain it, could you correct me? Yeah.
In my mind, it's if any part of the body is onside.
Yeah. Which I think is stupid.
So, at the moment, I'll say this, I think it is actually a better rule than it currently is.
I think it's better than what we've got, but I don't know why. If you're going to test a new rule, why I wouldn't go for something different.
At the moment, the rule is if any goal-scoring part of the body is past the line, then you're offside. Arsène Wenger's suggestion, and the rule that's being tested, is if any goal-scoring part of your body is onside, then you're onside. So even if they've got an arm out. Like when Timo Werner was offside the other week in the Chelsea game, ridiculous call because his arm was offside. The fact that the rest of his body was onside, under this rule would mean he was onside and the goal would have stood, which I think is the right decision there. Because let's face it, even as Liverpool fans, you've got to be honest, that was a goal all day. We were very lucky to get away with that.
So many players have been given disallowed goals for the sleeve rule.
Yeah, but if you think about all of them, under this rule, they'd all have been allowed. So do you think it's a better rule?
I think it's better. I wouldn't say it's the best. I still think that... Because, there was an example picture that I saw where it was I think it was using an example of Tottenham versus Leicester, and Harry Kane was the player in the picture, and it was only his back foot was onside. And I mean literally just his foot.
But it's only the same now as when just their foot is over the line, and it's offside. Those are the margins that you're working with. But I think this rule favours the attackers. A lot of people have been saying, the way it is right now, it favours teams to play that high line. It favours defenders. I mean, if this rule came in, it would be something we'd have to be really careful of, because right now we rely a lot on the offside trap.
It'd be both good and bad for us because we rely on the high line, but we've also got really fast wingers.
I just think this way round it favours. You're going to see more goals in football. It favours the attackers more often than not. Goals will stand, as opposed to right now where they're just getting taken away. And when you really get down to the game of football, you want to be seeing goals. So,
I mean, if you offered me a choice between what we've got now and this new rule, I'll take this new rule. But I think ultimately the rule should be the furthest part of the body forward or back if you're the defender. So from the goal scoring, part of your body, wherever they class them to be. So in that same picture, because his back foot was onside, it would be now whatever his forward leg is, or knee, or whatever, if it's pointing forward. That would be where they draw that line. Because then it's not using your arms, it's not drawing sleeves, it's going off your legs.
But then you're basing that purely on the fact that he can only score with his legs, but that's not the case.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it's like, I don't think there's going to be a perfect rule. I think people will kick off regardless, and I just think that's the most fairest one.
I'll be mental. I'll throw in another suggestion.
Go on.
That just literally came to mind. What if he based it off? Because I know we've had like sleeves and all sorts. As long as the part of the body you score the goal with is onside. So if you kick it in with your right foot, if your right foot's onside, you're onside.
Yeah, I suppose it's a good suggestion.
Because then it rules out the
other
bloody...
people would kick off about like the length of play, because if you have to draw back, if you rule off a goal that took like 20 seconds to score because you have to wind it back. So basically, if someone's running, trying to make a play, and their like right foot was off, but then it took like 20 seconds after that to score, you'd have to bring that all the way back, and people don't like that. I mean, it goes back to my point before of, I don't think there'll be one perfect rule. Someone will complain regardless. It's just trying to find the fairest one. That, in my opinion, would still work. I still think that's a fair rule. But, I mean, the only way you can really test them is by trying them out. And
I mean, that's
I hope the Arsène Wenger one isn't the only one that they're going to test out. I hope they'll try a few.
I mean, I genuinely do think this is a better rule.
It is a better rule, 100%. It is 100% better than what we've got. But I think
it's going to favour attackers. It's going to help open the game up a little bit more. Attackers aren't going to be as afraid of being caught offside all the time. Defenders will actually
have to defend rather than just try and play people offside.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes in China anyway, and then because that's it. It may never see the light of day in the Premier League. Yeah. So it's not worth spending too much time on it. Yeah, but we'll see what happens. Basically, I will say shout out to Arsène Wenger for still changing the game today. Like, that's crazy.
Do you know what? I thought, like, my respect's gone up for him because he still clearly loves and has a passion over football that he's still trying to change it to this day. He doesn't manage anyone at the moment, does he?
I don't believe so.
No, but I will say, if this rule comes in and it seems to be for the better, I will pay for Arsène Wenger to get an extra like segment of his coat added.
Does he need the extra segment?
No, but it's like a trophy to him, isn't it? It's like every good thing he does, he gets another segment of his coat added on.
He gets a slightly longer coat than last time.
Yeah, he gets like
he'll become like an anime character,
like sort of like those like puffy like bubbly type jackets. Yeah. He gets like an extra chunk of them added on to the bottom.
Yeah, he'll become like an anime character. He'll just have this really long overcoat because he's just changed football that much.
He's like 4 toddlers trying to get into a bar or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, do we want to look at Wolves then?
Yeah.
Right. We sort of briefly discussed lineup, but who you going with?
I'll succumb and say Mane, Jota, Salah. I'd say I can't really say if he feels up to it because I can't really talk to him and ask him. But if Wijnaldum would be fine too, I'd still play him in midfield and go with the same way today. But if it's better resting him, then I'd say get Keita on, as James suggested. I'd say just same defence. I think Nat and Kabak, bit of a funny one, depends on what game he plays, but Nat's been phenomenal in every game I've seen him. So I think he's earned a spot there.
Yep.
I agree.
Assuming you're putting Alisson in goal.
Yeah.
I would say me, I agree. Alisson, Robbo left back, no issues with Robbo this season. Kabak and Phillips has been immense. I every time I've seen Phillips play, I can't really fault the guy. I think he's done an incredible job. Put Trent at right back. Midfield, Fabinho holding. Please stay there. I hope he holds that position. Throw in Thiago again. Let him go a bit more forward when he's looked better. I think he did that. He's had a more forward role in the past, and I can't think what game it was, but he actually looked good. He actually looked like Thiago in that game, and I can't think what one
Was
it was.
it Atalanta?
Quite well have been.
Wait, who?
Yeah, I don't know who he was replying to.
Yeah. And put Genie in. I'd say put Genie in, and I would say if we want a bit more of a midfield spark, I'd take Genie off Naby. Unless Thiago's having a shocker, in which case take him off for Naby. Front three would be interesting because before today, I probably would have gone with a front three of Salah, Jota, and Shaqiri. Because I feel like Mane hasn't been at the races but Mane has just got a goal. He might have a bit of confidence, and I mean, I wouldn't want to lose Mane's pace running down the wing because he is a threat. Going down the wing, and he's certainly quicker than Shaqiri is.
I mean, he's still got that threat factor to him where you can't ignore him entirely. You've still got to have someone marking him.
So I'll put Mane on, and it's going to be a tough game, but I actually think Wolves will maybe play a bit of football. I mean, granted, I'm going to go 1-1.
They're a good defensive team.
But they're a football playing team as well. So
yeah, they don't stick 11 people behind the ball, but they are good defensively.
Yeah, I agree with Craig's lineup. The only change I could probably see being made is Keita for Gini, but also obviously Keita would be an ideal substitution to make late on in the game, as well as, you know, if we're ahead, Milner, if not Curtis Jones, because he has been brilliant this season and definitely deserves more time. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but I would definitely say same team as tonight because it worked, and definitely Nat and Kabak have to keep playing together now. The league is dead, so just use it to help them build a partnership now, because we want, by the time, you know, the quarterfinals roll around for the Champions League, we want to have a set centre-back partnership. It's got to be them two because we've got to keep Fabinho in midfield. There's no sign that Hendo's coming back. So I think that has to be it now. We have to just roll with, you know, tonight went well, it worked, and now we've got to just keep that up, keep that momentum going and roll with it. So I expect to see this team we've seen tonight a few times now, just purely to help gain some confidence back in the side.
Stability.
Score-wise though, I just honestly don't know what to say, because it's like, who knows? I just don't know what's happening in the Premier League anymore. I'd like to say that it's going to work again, and Wolves will play football, so it'll give us some opportunities, but I honestly don't know. Liverpool could win or lose. That's where we're at this point, I feel.
Yeah. I'll say 1-0 as a safety blanket. I think we'll win, but not by much.
It's 0.5.
Yeah, sure. I'll say 2-1 then, just to be different. Do you know what I'm gonna say? I'll say 2-0. I'm gonna believe in Nat and Kabak that they'll hold it down again.
Yes, that's what we like to hear.
And Mo hasn't had a goal in the league for a while, so he needs that to keep up his golden boot race.
Well, he's got a taste of it again tonight.
Yeah,
so
and
be
the same thing with Mane. Hopefully, that's giving him some confidence with that goal. So yeah, I'll go 2-0 and hope.
Yeah,
let's hope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we do wrap up, I've just had a very amusing tweet pop up on my phone. Thiago Alcantara has been linked with a return to his former side Barcelona following the election of Joan Laporte as club president. So that's
great.
Funny.
Yeah, everyone's leaving, and
everyone's leaving to Barcelona.
This is the downfall.
Barcelona next season will just have our entire midfield. They'll have Ginny, they'll have Thiago.
Curtis Jones will just show up.
Curtis Jones will end up being there somehow.
But
Minamino will be there on loan.
Oh, poor Taki.
Yeah.
But look, a good European night for Liverpool.
Indeed.
Things are looking up. We'll be back after Wolves to discuss what the hell is going on in the Premier League. Hopefully it'll be more positive than previous weeks, but that remains to be seen. We shall see you next week to discuss those findings.